Hey guys, today I'm filming the second video in my little mini series on if I had to cut my collection in half. If you did not see my first video, I will link it up in the cards. That is where I physically went in and separated all of my makeup category by category, right down the middle in a keep pile and a pass pile. And in today's video, I want to be explaining my reasonings why. I'm not sure if this is going to end up all fitting in one video or being split into two. We have a lot of things to talk about, but I'm going to try to be as brief yet thorough as possible. I don't want to necessarily go in as much detail as I did last year and have 3 different videos, but we'll see what ends up happening. I will put up pictures of the piles on the screen. That way I don't have to name each specific product. You should be able to see them. And then if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. So starting with face primers, I had 18. So I got to keep 9, pass 9. And really I tried to think about what my favorites were and the things that I would consider repurchasing. And in my keep pile, I have a good mix of mattifying, pore filling, hydrating, and glowy primers. I tried to keep like 1 or 2 in each category, and those really are my favorites. So I would say that the one that I would say is not necessarily a must-have, but it's something I really enjoy, would be the Touch in Sol No Pore Blend Primer. I really do like that one, and I want to use it up this year, and I don't think I'm going to be repurchasing it, but I still like it enough to keep it in the keep pile. And then for the primers in the pass pile, basically either I've tried them and wouldn't repurchase them, or I just haven't tried them yet. And really, because there are so many primers I absolutely love, the rest of them just kind of ended up in the pass pile. But looking at what I have here, I don't think that I will repurchase any of these, but about half of them I haven't tried. So once I try them, we'll see how I feel about them. But basically what my plans are here is I really want to use up all of these, but for my 2 full sizes, I know it's going to take me a long time to get through them, so I'm going to test them and then possibly pass them on. The Touch in Sol Glassy Skin Balm, I actually really enjoy that one, but I do like my other hydrating and glowy primers more, and I know that I will be using those in winter, spring for the next 2 years to get those used up. So I won't be able to get through all of them in time. So I probably will pass on the Touch in Sol. The Herborian Extra Matte, I'm very interested to see what I think about that. It's really, really tough with mattifying primers to see if the texture works well with my other makeup. So we'll see how it works. If it's finicky, I probably will pass that on, but I do want to use up all of the other little minis that I have. For foundations, I had 14. So again, getting to keep 7, pass 7. And this was mostly easy, but I did have 4 foundations where I was stuck on which 2 to keep, which 2 to pass. And that would be the Natasha Denona Transfer Matte, L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte, Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue, and the Tarte Face Tape. So the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte is a little light for me, so it's the foundation I've currently been using as a mixer, and it works really well for that. So that's why I kept it in the keep pile, is because I wanted that to be my one mixer. And then the Natasha Denona foundation does not give the most coverage, but it really does help keep me matte and look very poreless. And then I ended up putting the Dose of Colors in the pass pile because it is really yellow, a little too strong. And then the Tarte Face Tape can just kind of cake up my sponge sometimes and be a little too thick. So I actually still really love both of those, but that's how I made that decision. And then for the other ones in the pass pile, basically the Catrice, I really enjoy, but I want to use it up and I don't think I'll repurchase it. It's just taking me so long to get through it. That e.l.f. Camo CC Cream I've not tried yet, but I know it's going to be a little dark, so I can't use it till the summer. And then for the Giorgio Armani Clinique and the Bare Minerals, I don't really like those foundations very much, so I probably will end up decluttering those at some point. And then the rest of the things in the keep pile are tried and true favorites of mine. For concealers, I had 7, so 4 keeps, 3 passes. For my keeps, Tarte Shape Tape, Estee Lauder, Double Wear, and the MAC Studio Finish are holy grail concealers of mine. I want to always have the 3 of those in my collection, and I like trying out other under eye concealers, but Shape Tape has been my favorite. So I don't want to have a ton of under eye concealers, but I do really like the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue. I don't like them enough to always want to have both in my collection. I would like to use them up at some point, but I will repurchase the Tarte Shape Tape for the under eyes. I like Estee Lauder for blemishes, and then the MAC Studio Finish for helping to like clean up shadow, brows, fill in my forehead wrinkles is what I use it for mostly. Then for the 3 in the pass pile, I want to use these up and I don't plan on repurchasing them. So the Becca Under Eye Corrector is just a little mini size. I don't feel like this does very much for me. It creases on me. I don't know why people love it. The ColourPop White Concealer is very good, but the Dose of Colors and the Tarte concealers are light enough to brighten on their own, and I don't need a white concealer with those. So I don't have a need to repurchase it. And then that Too Faced Born This Way is just okay. I'm not obsessed with that. And that one does match my skin tone perfectly, which means it's not light enough under my eyes. So I am currently working on this combo of the Too Faced mixed with the ColourPop, and I want to use up all 3 of them this year. I don't know if I'm going to get through the Too Faced because it's so much concealer. What I'm thinking is that I want to use that combo until I use up the ColourPop concealer, and then whatever is left of the Too Faced, I'm probably going to use it as foundation just to get through it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I know it's already going to take me a long time to get through the Tarte and the Dose, and I already have a backup of the Tarte concealer as well. So those are my plans for this category. I basically just want to use up the other 3 products. Then for face powder, I have 7, so I got to keep 4 past 3. And if you guys saw my makeup inventory, my ideal number for this category really was 5 or 6 because I have so many powders I love for different purposes. So it was a little bit challenging to cut it down to this 4, but at the same time, I know what my top ones are. So the Dermablend Translucent Loose Powder is amazing under the eyes. I like it to set the face as well, but I kept that for my under eye powder. Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair is great for under eyes, face setting on its own, but I love mixing it with these 2 face powders. The Born This Way is great for winter and spring, and the Peach Perfect is great for summer and fall. Both of those oxidize to be a little too dark on me, which is why I mix in that Maybelline. So those 4 powders would be perfect. And then for the ones in the pass pile, the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Powder, I do really like this one, but it does darken my concealer, so I like the Dermablend a little bit more. And the Maybelline Better Skin Powder is my favorite powder with coverage, but I prefer using loose powder, so I want to use that one up and then I wouldn't go out of my way to repurchase it. The Rimmel Stay Matte Powder is my favorite touch-up powder. I do want to always have this one in my collection, but since the pandemic, I've not been wearing makeup for a long period of time where I actually need a touch-up powder, so I haven't gotten much use out of it this year, but I probably will always have 5 or 6 powders in my collection, and I'm okay with that, but I would like to use up the Laura Mercier and the Maybelline this year. For setting spray, I have 11, so I get to keep 6, pass 5. And for the keeps, Urban Decay All Nighter and the MAC Fix Plus are my favorite formulas. If I can only keep 2, those would be the 2 that I would keep. And I've used up one of the Peach Mist from Too Faced, and I did like it. I've got the All Nighter on here in the Summer Solstice scent, which just smells like sunscreen basically. I've not used D-Slick in a long time, and I have not used the Morphine Matte setting spray yet. So once I try them, we'll see if I still would choose to keep them. Then for the pass pile, basically these are facial mists that I want to use up and do not plan on repurchasing. The MAC Fix Plus Matte is just okay for me. The Derma E Hydrating Mist, I'm gonna try to use that one up as a primer spray. The Milani Make It Last Matte I'm working on right now. And then I do have 2 different scented versions of MAC Fix Plus, and I would rather just have the original. So again, my plan is to use up all 5 of these. The Derma E might have to wait until 2022 to get used up, but the other ones I think I should be able to finish this year. For cream cheek products, I have 15, so I got to keep 8, pass on 7, and this actually was pretty easy for me. And cream products are all the rage right now. They were popular last year as well, and I did purchase a lot more last year trying to get into it more. And while I actually really like all of the formulas that I have, I'm just a powder person, so I don't actually feel the need to have a huge cream product collection. And there are some formulas that I absolutely love, so it made this a little bit easier. So for the keeps, I'm keeping all of my Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blushes. I love that formula. The Kiko and the MAC Glow Play blushes are actually very similar as well, where they are a cream to powder finish that is very easy to apply onto the skin on top of face powder, which is very important to me because, as you know, I do use a colored powder on my face and I don't want to put that over top of a cream blush. And then I wanted to keep 2 bronzers as well, so I chose a liquid and a cream. The liquid is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin. I love that product. And then for the stick, I chose the Benefit Hoola Quickie Contour Stick. But thinking about that now, I don't know if I would pick that one or the Milk Makeup. I have more experience with the Benefit. I think I only used the Milk a couple of times last year, so I'm not sure which one of those I would actually keep. I need to test them out, but I would keep 1 liquid and 1 cream bronzer. And then for the passes, that Alabaster cream pigment is just a little too cool tone for me. The Benefit Do the Hoola liquid bronzer, I actually think I might want to put that in a project to try to use it up. The darker shade of the nude sticks really just is not that flattering on me. It's also a matte formula. It's a little bit hard to work with, so I might declutter that one. And then I'm gonna hang on to the Milk Makeup Cream Bronzer, the Tower 28 blush, and the Milk Cream Blush Stick. I haven't tried the Milk yet, but I've tried everything else. So those are my plans with this category, but honestly, just looking at the keep pile, I do feel really happy with that. I'm not gonna get rid of everything in the pass pile, but I do feel really content just having those cream blushes and the few bronzing products, just because, like I said, this is not my favorite type of blush or bronzer. So I feel like that's all I need, and I've got my colors covered. For bronzer and contour, I lump these together. I have 18, which is a lot, so I get to keep 9, pass 9, and this was a little bit easier for me than I expected. So I did actually surprise myself with a couple of the passes though. And basically, like always, I put all my contours in the pass pile because I feel like, for me, I'm totally fine using bronzers as contours, but I wouldn't often use contours as bronzers. And I don't actually go very cool tone. It's more of like my contours are a little bit darker than my bronzing shades, but I did keep 1 contour product, and that would be the Balm Take Home the Bronze Bronzer in Oliver. That tone is just really unique, and I really like that to contour during the winter time. And then of course I had to keep my Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil, my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and Benefit Hoola. I've got major pan on all 3 of those, and I have backups of those, so I definitely had to keep those. And then I also chose to keep my Marc Jacobs, the CoverFx, Becca, Fenty, and the Ofra and Samantha March. I have not tried the Ofra Samantha March, so that one has like a matte side and a shimmer side. I haven't tried it yet, but I just feel like I'm going to really enjoy it, and that would be my only shimmery bronzer that I would choose to keep. So for the pass pile, again, I've got my contour products on here, Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, Bobbi Brown Medium, and that Illamasqua shade. So I figured those would be there. And NARS Laguna, I wanted to try it again, but I just don't love that color on me. The color or the formula just isn't for me. that It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores bronzer. They changed the formula on it and it's very sheer and it doesn't show up very well on the skin. That Too Faced Sweet Tea, I put it in the pass pile last year as well. I really haven't given that one much love to be able to say either way whether I really like it or not. The Anastasia bronzer in Saddle I do really like, but it's very dark, so it's something that I can only use in the summertime with a very light hand. Then those Milani Matte Bake bronzers, I enjoy them, but they're older in my collection. They were a limited edition, which you guys know doesn't really bother me. And they are very warm tone, can look a little orangey on me depending. So I surprised myself that I put the bronzer shade Sunset in the pass pile, but I actually do feel pretty good about my decision. I'm looking at the keeps. It does make me pretty happy. I think I've got tones for all year round. So I do see myself actually decluttering some of the products from the pass pile, but not all of them. For blushes, I have 71, which is insane and embarrassing. And I got to keep 36, pass on 35. This was very, very, very hard because I love my blushes so much. I actually had a hard time figuring out which ones to keep as well. There were a lot of blushes where they could have just been in limbo, where it's very hard to make a decision. Some of the easy keeps for me would be my Becca blushes. I really like the colors that I have, and I think those formulas are really nice. I also kept a few of my blushes from the Balm because I love their formula. I kept a bunch of blushes from MAC. You guys know how much I love my MAC blushes, but I did let go of a couple of them as well. And I tried to keep a nice variety of colors here. And I actually haven't tried out all of these blushes. I have not tried the Tarte ones on the bottom row that are like trios from holiday sets. I have not tried Persona Terracotta, Buxom, Mykonos, or the Ophir Samantha March blush, or the M Cosmetics Faded Clementine. I haven't tried those yet, but I've tried the other ones. Like I said, I think I kept a good variety of colors and some formulas that I just really love. And then of course I do have some of my MAC blushes that are in pan form that I really enjoy. And the pass pile was like half easy, half hard. There are several blushes that I currently have in my chopping block, but then there were some other things that I begrudgingly put in the pass pile, like my Hourglass blushes. I have Dim Infusion and Diffused Heat, and I think that they're very pretty, but I don't understand why these blushes are so highly regarded and why people find them to be very special. I mean, my friend Jean is in love with these blushes. It's her favorite formula. I don't get it. I don't get what's so special about them. I got these for like half of retail price, so I'm not gonna actually let them go. I like them, but I just don't get the hype. I also decided to pass on several MAC blushes, which was a surprise to me and is very, very hard because I love my limited edition MAC blushes. I put a couple Tarte blushes in here, and I don't actually see myself getting rid of those. It was more for numbers sake because I do have a bunch of very similar shades from Tarte. And then I have some blushes in here where they used to be favorites and I just don't love them as much as I used to, like the Clinique Cheek Pops, It Cosmetics, the Too Faced. I can see myself getting rid of several of these, but some of them I'm just gonna have to keep. I'm not there. And again, some of these are over here for numbers sake. The Sephora Z palette with the one smaller Lorac blush and then the two larger ColourPop blushes, I'm keeping those for sure. The other pan blushes I can see myself possibly letting go of, but it's just hard. I love blush so much. I know that those are very similar shades, but I still really love them. For highlighter, I have 19, so I got to keep 10, pass 9, and this was hard for me. Last year's video, I was much more successful. I passed on several highlights, and now I really have a bunch that I love, and I have so many similar shades, so I had to make decisions on which ones to keep. So I love the Ophir highlight formula. It's definitely one of my favorites. So I wanted to keep Glazed Donut, Pillow Talk, and Star Island. I also absolutely love the Benefit highlight formula, so I had to keep the both of those. Urban Decay Sin is an awesome golden tone champagne. Anastasia Amrezy, you guys know, is incredible. The Balm Mary Luminizer are my favorite highlights of all time. And then I did also choose to keep Becca's Champagne Pop because it's really pretty for the summer. And Moonstone. When I filmed this video last year, I put Moonstone in the pass pile because I thought it was a little too subtle. But when I used it this spring, I feel like because it's so similar to my skin tone and not super metallic, I can bring it a little bit to the center of my face, and it's very brightening and very pretty, so I really enjoyed it this year. So then for the pass pile, I did have to unfortunately put some of my Ofra highlighters in here, and one of them is the Madison Miller Moon Dance shade, and that's because it is just pretty similar to Star Island. And then I also put in here Cloud 9 and Space Baby. I do think they're very pretty and I really like them, especially Cloud 9. But they are duochrome highlights, which I don't go for as often as just like a regular shade. The Becca Prismatic Amethyst I do really like, but Benefit Tickle is similar, but it's a little lighter and more wearable for me. Then Becca Vanilla Quartz is pretty, but it's similar to a lot of the other highlights I have. Becca Pearl, something I want to use up. It's a very white, can look chalky highlight on me. And then the Nabla highlight in Ozone, I'm just not wowed by that formula. I have not tried the Persona or the ColourPop yet, so once I try those, I might change my mind. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to declutter any of these highlights because I like them. I like them a lot. I like the formulas and the colors enough. Maybe something in the future, but I don't see, like, as much as I feel content with the keep pile, I really just don't see myself letting go of the passes. So my camera overheated right when I got to my last face category, so I apologize if the lighting is different or if the camera is more or less zoomed in. So lastly, we have face palettes. I have 17, so I get to keep 9, pass on 8. And this was semi-challenging for me because while there were a decent amount of face palettes I knew I could put in the pass pile, those last few were hard to come up with. So for my keep pile, I've only tried about half of these actually. So the ones that I've not tried yet would be the duo from Sigma and Jouer, the Laura Mercier palette, and the Too Faced Sugar Peach. The other ones I have tried and do really, really enjoy. Then for the passes, I have continued to put that Juvia's Place blush palette in the passes. Even though I do like it, I just don't reach for it all the time. And that Pixie bronzer palette, you guys see how many bronzers I have. That Ofra palette I actually like, but again, I have other things I like better. That Too Faced palette, I'm just not super drawn into the colors, even though I haven't used it yet still. The Becca Face palette, there are some really pretty shades in there, but there are also a lot of things that are going to be too dark for me that I'm going to need to mix. The Hourglass blush palette, again, I'm just not super obsessed with the Hourglass blushes. And then the last two were hard for me. The Natasha Denona Bloom, it's got some cream products in it that I just haven't reached for a ton, but I definitely am going to be keeping that. And then that Benefit Cheek Leaders palette, I was surprised I put in the pass pile, but it's because I have Hoola in the full size, I have Cookie in the full size. Corliss is not my favorite blush. Gold Rush doesn't show up on me the best. I really kind of have to like pack it on. And then the Hoola Caramel or Caramel is a little dark for me, so I definitely do want to keep it. I was surprised I put it in the pass pile, but when I like broke down the products, and the reason I like that palette is for the products that I already have as singles. So that is how I made that decision. Some of those products will be going in the chopping block. It's just very hard for me to let go of face palettes. There are some of these things that I did keep last year and I put them in chopping block again. We'll see what will end up happening, but I do think that there are going to be several products here that I can declutter, and hopefully you will see them in my next 2 chopping block updates. But then I do have a lot of things that were in my pass pile that my plan is to use them up and not repurchase them. But depending on how long it's taking me to get through some of these products, I might just end up passing them on to somebody else. But those are my thoughts on all of the complexion and the cheek products I have in my collection. Again, hopefully you were able to get more details from the pictures, but let me know if you have any questions about some specific products in the comments down below, and I'd be happy to get back to you on that. So y'all, I was right in the middle of my outro and my camera died, so I had to let it charge for a couple of minutes. But basically what I was saying is, if you did not already check out part 1 or the series that I did last year, please do so. But I would love to know what you guys think of this concept and what you would do with the products in your collection. And if you guys end up doing something similar on your YouTube or Instagram or wherever, I would love to check it out. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.